Well, first of all, welcome to the sounds of Missouri, just south of Kansas City. It's my backyard. You either follow me or you don't. If you follow me, you probably have views similar to my own because I'm not interested in talking to a lot of people who totally disagree with me. It seems as though people are so disrespectful anymore. If you actually are watching this and don't follow me, well, I've got a few things to say to you, and they're not going to be disrespectful, so take that into account. To the people who do follow me, I'm going to guess you probably watched Kamala Harris last night. I'm going to tell you that I was one of those people who wasn't happy to see Joe Biden drop out until I saw the difference between what Joe was able to do on the stage and what Kamala can do now. Sometimes we old folks, we've just got to step aside and let some new blood come in. And my God, I was shaken last night. I'm not an emotional guy. Well, I thought I was. We're going to be in good shape if we let her in. We're not if we don't. And I don't really care whether you agree with every single thing that she says she might want to do. We haven't got it all fleshed out for us yet anyway, so I'd kind of hold my breath and wait to see what she really wants to do in detail. But her heart's in the right place, her head's in the right place, and that's good enough for me. Now, for those of you who are still willing to consider the other man, a couple of things. First, I worked in radio and TV when I was younger, and I had a heck of a good voice then. I don't now. I know a showman. I know what it takes to create an image, and he's managed to do a pretty good job. But if you really bother to spend a little bit of time listening to what he has to say and what he wants to do, it should be pretty clear by now that he's not really interested in anything that doesn't further his own ends. He's not interested in the country. In fact, I think he's interested in something that America never was and never should be. I think the easiest way to understand what he's all about is to recognize that he's doing things and trying to do things right now, not just to keep us all apart, but to actually hurt people, because he thinks the more people hurt, if he's able to blame it on Democrats, the better off it's going to be for him. Let me give you a few examples. One of them you know about, and that's the border bill. No matter what they want to say about this thing or that thing in the border bill that they didn't like, the fact is it was going to do a lot of good. One of the things I'm aware of, if you're not, is that we have multi-million-dollar fentanyl sniffing devices sitting near the border in warehouses. You want to know why they aren't out there sniffing out fentanyl? Because the border bill was going to give them the money to deploy the equipment. He stopped that from happening. You want to talk about us having a problem with fentanyl coming into the country? I don't think what you do is make it difficult for us to get it at the border, but he did that. Why in the hell would you do that if your idea is we don't want the fentanyl? Well, because that's not what he wants. What he wants is to keep us fighting each other. And he's guessing that you're going to believe that there was some reason that the border bill shouldn't have happened. Well, so Biden went ahead and did some things on his own, and suddenly we've got a big drop in border crossings. That's all you need to know is if he can take care of it through executive order, which I'm sure some people are wanting to fight in court, it can be fixed. There are things that can be done. Trump didn't want them to happen. You might have also heard a few things about him saying that he wishes that he could control the Fed, that well, I'm sure he doesn't want Biden to control the Fed, but he wants to be able to control the Federal Reserve. Now, he also says he doesn't think the Federal Reserve should be allowed to make any rate cuts going into the election because he thinks that would be political. Look, the Fed does what it does, and there is a schedule for it, and there are a number of officers that decide what's going to be done. It isn't one guy saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and lower or increase the interest rate. That's not how it works. So all the Fed is doing now is following what's going on in the economy, in the labor market, and doing what they always try to do, sometimes not as well as we might like. They're trying to balance inflation, bring it down at the same time, keep employment at a decent clip. They're really not doing too badly right now. We haven't been happy that it's taken this long. But you know what? The light's at the end of the tunnel. Jerome Powell talked today about that, made it pretty clear that we're going to see a rate cut here pretty soon. And Donald Trump doesn't want that. I do. I don't think that's political. I think it's recognizing that things are starting to happen that the Fed's been working on now for years. Again, I wish it happened quicker, but it's happening. Again, why would he not want rates to come down? Well, because he wants the economy to suck until he gets into office, and then of course he's hopefully going to fix it, which that doesn't seem to be how it works either. There's another thing about the Fed rate that you need to understand, and that is the timing. You know, September 10th, there's going to be a meeting between him and Kamala Harris, a debate, we hope. And hopefully we'll really hear something from both sides in terms of what it is that they want to do going forward. But right before that, days before that, we're going to get another month of data regarding jobs. And that's going to give us a pretty good idea of whether when the Fed does meet, which happens not too long after the debate, whether we're going to get a quarter of an interest rate drop or a half of an interest rate drop. So going into the debate, Donald Trump knows that we're going to already have a good idea of what's going to be happening on the economic front. Now do you understand why he wants to have a debate sooner than that? The sooner the better, because the more time passes, the better things get. And he can't have that. Now, if he had policies that were going to make things better for all of us, I'd be reading them. I'd be listening. That's not what he does. Basically, he's talking about whether Kamala Harris laughs too much or seems too angry. He seems to think she's as good looking as Melania. I guess that tells you where his head is at. And he makes grand statements about how everything's going to be terrible if she gets in place. He doesn't really go into specifics as to why. He makes these grand statements. I don't think that should cut it anymore. And I don't think that the fact that you might disagree with me on certain policies should keep us from recognizing only one of the candidates is actually trying to keep the country on track and make things better for everybody. Not for a couple of people, not for Donald Trump's friends down at Mar-a-Lago, just everybody. And only one of the people that we're talking about didn't grow up with a silver spoon in her mouth. Damn, do I have to explain to you what that means? She came from us. He came from on high. She's been fighting the kinds of people that he is her entire life. She's been putting people in jail like him her entire life, and we've been happy that she's been doing that. She's been going out and getting child predators off the street. She's been going out and getting traffickers off the street. You talk about the border and the wall. She's been under the wall in the tunnels with the people that are down there in California fighting drug trafficking and immigration. She's She's not interested in wide open borders. She's been fighting that her entire life. She's also not interested in people taking advantage of us. You know, like deciding that maybe you can make an extra buck by giving people a fake diploma to a fake university that's of absolutely no use. Yeah, that's the kind of person she's going out after. And that's the kind of person he is. So I'm not saying you need to abandon your conservative values. Some of them I actually agree with. What I'm saying is the country is supposed to take care of all of us. Let us work together and make things happen. You know, if you need a tire changed and somebody stops to help you, for God's sakes, you're not asking them whether they're a Republican or a Democrat. You want to know whether they've got the lug wrench, you know? And that's where we're at. We either decide that we're going to pull together and we're going to put aside philosophical differences on policy and recognize what this country's for. And it's not a place where we're supposed to be in a cage match all the time. We did that for 4 years. We had a little bit of a breather, but not much of one because he just kept at us. Well, I think it's time that we just recognize that moving forward doesn't mean that anybody's left behind. Not if it's done right. I think Kamala Harris is going to make sure that that happens if we work to get her elected and if we make sure that she has a Congress, because you know what, unless you're a dictator, you need Congress to get things done. And we've seen in the last 4 years what happens when Congress kind of flipped and we went from getting major things done to nothing. I'm tired of nothing getting done, aren't you?